Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. I am here with my very good friend, Heather, and I am so excited to finally have you on the Selfish Confidence Podcast. Welcome, Heather.
Oh, thank you so much, Jess. I'm so excited. I just got tingles even saying hi, I can't believe I'm here and I'm so excited to chat with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to have you here. We were chatting a little bit before we hit record and this has been in the making for a while, and I'm just so glad that it is finally here, that we can sit down. And I'm all about timing. It's on, divine timing. And there's a reason why you're here today, and you have a really important message to share with us. So can you tell us a bit about you and your background and how you got started on your journey, Heather?
Sure.
Big question, right?
Yeah, right. Well, my mom and dad really loved each other, and no, I'm just kidding.
When a man loves a woman.
So yeah, my journey. So my personal development journey really started when I was a teenager. I was really severely depressed as a teenager, suicidal, hospitalized, all those things. And when I was a teenager, I wasn't really equipped with the skills to exist in a world where I was able to understand who I was, and I wasn't given the tools to be okay with knowing who I was. I was the youngest of 4 kids, and I was kind of the quiet one. I wasn't the squeaky wheel. So my parents just kind of left me to my own devices, not blaming or anything like that. But so I was very lost as a teen. And once I got through that depression, I learned the skills to exist, but not fully connect with who I was. But in the back of my mind, I always knew that there had to be a better way, but I just wasn't in a place of being able to fully dive into that. And so fast forward, I grew up, became an adult, became a wife, then became a mother. And then I don't know if you're allowed to swear on your podcast.
You go, girl. If it's your truth, give it to me.
Shit got real for me. Oh my goodness. As we were just talking before the podcast, becoming a mom was quite the journey, and it still is a journey every single day. But what I realized is that if I wanted to raise a daughter that was self-actualized and balanced and happy and joyful and silly and all the things that whatever she chose she wanted to be, I needed to really figure that out and be that role model for her. And I started walking down a road after 1 year after going back from mat leave, towards that deep, dark depression that I had when I was a teenager. And because of that experience, I was able to kind of look behind me and be like, there's that old buddy. Okay. And knowing that I didn't want to go down that path, I was I broke down one day in my commute. I had a 3.5 hour commute each day.
Every day.
And I broke down in the car one day. Yeah. And I just lost my mind. I just fell apart. I just crumbled. And through the grace of God and some higher power, this voice came to me and said, this isn't who you are. This isn't how life has to be. All you have to do is just try, just start doing something different, because this can't be all there is to life. And you have to be better for her. And at that moment, that was the motivation I needed in order to completely just try to do something different. So I started making the smallest little shifts that I could, because like I said, I had a 3.5 hour commute. I was a new mom. I had 8.5 hours a day of work. I had a house. I had husband and all the things. So I didn't have large chunks of time to dive into who I was as a person. So I just started making small shifts, and that kind of allowed me to release the habit of being busy. And I feel like that is a big thing for a lot of people, even though I did have a lot of things on my plate. Because I had a lot of things, I just felt like I was always so busy, when yes, I was busy, but there were also opportunities for me to take time back in order to put them back into investment in myself. So I did that. I just started investing in myself a little bit more, just time wise, really. On my 3.5 hour commute, I wasn't just sitting there zoning out, being angry at the road and being angry at being in the car. I started learning and growing in the car. I listened to Oprah's Super Soul Conversation, and that like completely changed my world. It opened my mind up to a lot of things. And then I realized that I wanted to start helping impact people in a much more bigger way. I'm a trainer and an educator in the travel world, but I wanted to impact people differently. So that's when the pandemic happened, I was like, I think I need to do something else. I love public speaking. I love talking to people and connecting with people. And I love teaching and facilitating growth and workshops and things like that. So a friend of mine was a life coach. So I talked to him and he was like, I think this is what you need to do. And I started researching. And so I became a certified life coach in 2020. And that's when I launched my business. And then I'm just kind of running from there. Now I'm an NLP practitioner, soon to be master practitioner. And I'm, just doing all the things.
Absolutely
So
amazing. Me. Yeah. What were you doing before? Like, what was your work? You had a 3.5 hour commute. Like, where were you going? It's a long commute.
I know. So I'm from Vancouver. I lived in Vancouver. Well, I'm not from Vancouver, but most of my adult life, I lived in Vancouver. And so since 2004, I worked for a travel company. And so I used to sell travel, and then I went into support and training. So I work for a travel company still part-time doing HR recruiting and training. And so I was commuting to the office from a suburb from Vancouver.
Dang, girl. Dang.
Yeah.
I worked in travel too when the pandemic hit, which was such a wild trip where you're just like, okay, you gotta pivot here.
Yeah, both my husband and I work for travel, and it was a time because we were just like, we had no idea if either of us were going to have a job, depending on the day. We were both very, very lucky in that we both maintained our employment, but yeah, it's been a time for sure.
Wild. And when did you move back to Newfoundland?
So I'm not from Newfoundland. Neither is my husband. We came here.
You chose Newfoundland. Okay.
We chose here. Exactly.
Cool.
And most people are like, you did what? We came here on holidays about 7 years ago, and we absolutely fell in love with it. Both him and I, as soon as we got off the airplane, we're like, this kind of feels like home. And we knew we didn't want to stay in Vancouver. There's so many reasons why that wasn't our home. We were originally thinking about Halifax because I have some family there. And then we came here and we're just like, wow, this place is incredible. It's so cool. It's so different. It's by the water, and we can both work remote. So we decided in December of 2019 that we were going to sell our condo townhouse in Vancouver and move to Newfoundland. And then the world fell apart and it got delayed. But yeah, we don't have any ties here.
Amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I was like over here baffled, like, okay.
Great. I know, you moved to what? And it's funny because I'm always talking about small shifts in people's lives and how that can make them happy. And then I just completely flipped my world upside down.
Sometimes you got to flip it, right? You got to flip the table and do what will make you happy.
Yeah. But it was those small shifts that really allowed me the strength and knowledge to know that no matter what, I'll be okay. Even if we did end up staying in Vancouver, I would have been fine. I would have been totally like still happy, but it allowed me the growth and strength to understand that like I can make a big shift and I'll be fine. I know my tools. So
oh my goodness, I love that. Well, let's get into your tools. Let's get into it. Okay, and chat about your mindset, because that was a big piece of the thing that we wanted to talk about today. So where are you currently with your mindset and your mental health, and where does your confidence fit into that?
Yeah. So my mindset and mental health currently are all the things. I mean, our good friend Gina says that like two things get to be true. And for me, my mindset and my mental health is all the things are true. I'm both extremely happy and extremely sad. I had a recent very big loss in my family. So I'm dealing with grief, but I'm happy and I'm excited and I'm just all the things. And I'm riding the waves as they come. When I'm happy, I'm feeling the happy, and when I'm sad, I'm feeling the sad, and I think that's, for me, that's the right way of doing it, because I can't just whitewash my life and say, because I'm grieving my mother-in-law, that my whole life is sad, and it's just not true. And so that was the biggest piece of my mental health, is knowing that, one, all the things can be happening at the same time, and two, I know I'm going to be okay. I know that no matter what is going on, my dad instilled this in me from when I was a child, like, this too shall pass. Whether it be good or bad, it's not going to last forever. And so I just ride the waves, knowing that the sadness won't last forever and the happiness won't last forever. And I'm just here experiencing and learning as I go.
Yeah.
So that's what gives me the confidence too, is knowing that I am okay, and that I am going to be okay, and that this is all just a crazy ride journey of figuring it all out and learning as I go.
Yeah. And being present is probably one of the hardest things for a lot of us. So the fact that you're present
yeah.
in these emotions is like, that's not the norm, right? A lot of us don't even know what our
Yeah.
emotions are. So how
Yeah.
does someone like sit in those emotions, both the really good ones? Because I think for a lot of us, it's easy to sit in the happiness. Like I can be like, I'm
Oh, yeah.
feeling freaking good. Like I'm so happy. But some of those more difficult ones, like even confusion and sadness and any of those, like how does someone feel them and not numb out?
I think it's understanding what you need in those moments to get back to the balanced state. So what my perspective is on life is, it's a series of ups and downs, like waves. And so what we're here to do is figuring out how to get back to that balanced state in the middle, because most extreme emotions are fleeting. And so when you're really happy, it's just about enjoying that in the moment, figuring out, okay, looking at that thing, what responsibility, what choices did I make to make that happen, and how can I recreate that, in the sense of, because it feels really good, but at the same time knowing that, like, okay, I'm going to get back down to my balanced state, my calm state, my ability to make balanced, calm, and good decisions. And when you're in those low states, it's just about understanding your tools in order to know that even in the lowest of lows, that you have the ability to be okay in those moments. So whether it be your community, the support you have around you, understanding, okay, I think I might need some meditation today, or I might need some journaling today, or I just need to sit in my bed and not judge myself for that. Having grace and kindness for yourself, and just being able to just be in those emotions and know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really hard. I think too, like I used to label a good day as a happy day. If I was happy, it meant it was a good day. And if I was sad, it meant it was a bad day. And trying to level that out, that there's no such thing as good or bad emotions. There's no good, there's no bad. It's just a matter of like, they are what they are. And sometimes we're going to feel them. And sometimes they're our own. And I don't know about you, I'm an empath. So like I feel other people's emotions and I'm like, whoa, where did those come from? And it just can be a roller coaster. So being present is a challenge for me, but it's something that I'm leaning into a lot more.
Right. Yeah. And I think for me, there's a big aspect of gratitude, knowing that, like, being able to have a crap day is a gift in itself, because I'm still here and I'm still alive. And there's so many people that don't have this gift, and I'm done wasting it. I'm done allowing circumstances and things not going my way to impact how I feel about life. I don't want to whitewash my life.
Yeah. I love that. What practices do you have in place for just better, stronger mental health in general?
Yeah. So when you sent me this question, I was like, I will flat out say that I am not the best with like daily practices. I don't have a consistent daily routine. I don't have a morning routine. I don't have that stuff. What I do know is that a couple things. When I need the things, I do the things. So when I know I need some meditation time, I will go into meditating as often as I possibly can. I work out consistently. That's one thing but it's never at the same time. Like, it's never like, I don't have like a morning set routine. But what I do have that's very consistent, and what truly helps me, is I'm a reflector personality. And I have time in the morning and I have time in the evenings where I don't have to do anything, because I have two jobs. I have my business and my job. I have a daughter, I have a husband, I have a giant house that I'm trying to set up still. So I don't have a ton of time during the day, but I have these blip moments where I'm able to just sit and reflect and make sure that in the morning I set up my mindset to know, okay, this is how I'm going to address these situations that I know are going to come up, and this is how I want to feel for the day, and this is what I need to do. It's kind of like an internal reflection and preparation for what the day is going to come. At the end of the day, I reflect and I learn as much lessons as I possibly can, around interactions with my daughter, interactions with people at work, interactions with anything. It's like, okay, how did that interaction go? Did I like it? Did I not like it? How did I feel I did in there? What can I take from that? And how can I move forward in a way that I choose next time?
Yeah. Did it take you a while to find yourself, to figure out what it was that you needed for these specific tools that you have? Like to know to know yourself, was it like helped you to be like, oh, like I know when I feel this way, I go into meditation or I go into the gym. Like how long did it take you to find yourself and to know that about yourself?
It took a while. It's like, I talk about this a lot, actually. What I had to do is I had to start dating myself. I had to start asking those like rudimentary questions that you ask someone when you first start dating them, because I had no idea. I was like, and the reality with getting to know yourself is that you're not a set being. How you answer something yesterday may not be the way you answer it tomorrow. So you have to continually spend time with yourself to figure out, okay, yep, that's different than it was yesterday. There's no judgment. Judgeless discernment is my favorite term. There's no judgment around it, but it's just about understanding what worked yesterday may not work today, checking in with how you feel about it, and also trying different things. If you had asked me 8 years ago, would I meditate and do yoga? I would have thought you were a crackerjack. I would have been like, there's no way. I used to make fun of my friends that did yoga because I thought it was so hokey. I was like, this is ridiculous. But now I do it all the time. So you just have to try things and remove any judgments you might have on what you've thought about it before and just give it a go. There's nothing to harm. There's no, like, you've got, what is that saying? You've got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that concept of dating yourself too, because we don't ask ourselves these questions. Like I know my husband inside and out, right? Like I know everything about, my best friend, but like asking myself these questions and making time to get to know myself, like what a waste of time, right? And that's not true. It is not a waste of time.
Yeah.
Get to know yourself, because sometimes we were just told our whole lives, like you like pizza, and then you grow up and you're like, actually, like, I'm not sure I like pizza. It's whoever's listening and just had like their heart drop as they say, I like pizza. Okay. But like, it's just an example of something that society has pressured us to want and to like, right? And we just are like, oh yeah, my mom told me I liked pizza, so I like pizza. Like, it's just interesting how that can become the norm unless you start to ask yourself these questions like, oh, I do like pizza. Why do I like pizza? Well, because it's delicious. Anyways, I'm hungry. What advice would you give to someone who's working to develop this skill of like dating themselves and getting to know themselves for better mental health?
Spend time with yourself, get into situations, environments that allow you to be as open-minded as possible. Usually it's about tuning out the noise. So if it's being completely by yourself or being with someone that allows you to kind of dive into who you are, if it's in nature is obviously like one of the main things for me that helps me. There are so many tools out there, free tools that you can do to kind of spark this new awareness of who you are. Online quizzes, personality quizzes, like there's so many things out there. And that's how I started. Besides listening to Oprah's Super Simple Conversation.
So good.
I started diving into like these online personality quizzes. There's a bazillion of them. I can send you some to put in the notes if you want.
Please do, yeah.
yeah, that really helped kind of spark this thing and this new awareness of, okay, this is who I am, and that feels good. And maybe they're not all 100% accurate, but at least if you look at the results of a quiz and you're like, that does not sound like me, that in and of itself is good awareness, because that's what you know is not true about yourself. And you're like, okay, no, it's all good awareness, whether it's right or wrong. So that was a really good tool for me to start out with. If you're just like, I have zero clue what to do here, learning, reading books, listening to people, cultivating an algorithm in all of your social media platforms that allow you to question like the norm and allow you to think deeper about who you are.
Yeah. So interesting. A question that just popped into my head too was, how did it change after you becoming a mom to find yourself again? Like, were you still the same Heather after you became a mom that you're like, oh, I just have to, get back in touch with that? Or did it completely change that self-discovery process after motherhood?
So to be frank, I don't think I had any clue as to who I was before. I talk about this a lot, that I was a very codependent person in my past. After the depression, I just basically glommed onto other people's personalities because I didn't have any idea who I was. So I just became that other person. Boring, but it's true. And so when I became a mom, that is when I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is real. And again, it just came down to that, like I needed to be different for her. And am I different than I was before? No. How I love is different. How I think is different, but I'm still that same goofy. I love fart jokes and tacos, and like I'm just
Same
kind
girl.
of yeah. What's different now is my awareness that I'm okay to be me now. I'm okay to be me because I want her to be okay being her. And I need to be that role model for her. And I don't need to be anything else besides that. But I also know that I'm not a finished product. Like there's continual growth, exponential growth every day. So no, in some ways, yes, I'm different because obviously I have this being that I am been gifted to watch and grow and been challenged to become better, but I'm still the same me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm allowing that more.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that too. I always wonder that because I do work with a lot of moms. There's a lot of people who listen to this who are moms.
Yeah.
And that self-discovery process is often triggered after or during pregnancy, right? And it's always interesting because it's not something I know anything about. But I do wonder, like, does it change who you are? And for some people, I'm sure, yes, it does. Or is it just like going through that process of finding yourself? And like you said, you didn't really know yourself before. So it's just interesting. And even when I was hearing it, it's like, okay, is that a motherhood thing? Again, I don't know. Or is it an age thing? Because it's like once I hit 30, I was like, oh, like, fuck this. Like, I don't want to live this way. And it was a matter of like stepping into my truth. So it's interesting to hear how you went through that discovery process and started dating yourself.
Yeah. And I think too, when you become a mother, there's expectations that you hold against yourself in order to be the mother, like the best mom, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so it was definitely, in order for me to truly be me and to truly go on this journey, I had to let go of those expectations. I truly had to like break the chains and be like, fuck you.
Love that. I wish that people could see that look that you gave. It's so good.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, thank you for sharing that and for being so real about it too. Can we chat about a post that you made last week about the 3 N's? And when I saw this, I was like, mind blown. Like it just felt so right to think of it like that. These 3 N's that come really easy to us, but they affect our happiness in a bunch of different ways. How can someone adjust their mindset with these 3 N's?
Well, negativity was the first N, and my mindset shifted when I discovered that negativity is like biologically easier for us to adopt in our life because it's what keeps us safe. So if you think about us as children, our parents are there to keep us safe. And so we are naturally attuned to hearing the negativity in their voices to warn us to be safe. So if we hear our parents be like, no, don't do that, it's keeping us safe, but that's a negative tone. And so that allows us to realize that we need to keep safe. And so we are hardwired to listen to the negativity and to tend to bring it on because it's an ability for us to stay safe. And so when I realized that, I'm kind of a why person. Someone could say, yeah, negativity is easier to hang on to. And I'd be like, but why? So when I learned this, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And what I also know is that I'm not here to go the easy route. I've never been the person to just take the easy route. I know that in order for me to live the life that I want to live, that I chose to live, and that I'm choosing every day to live, negativity can't be a part of that. And so even though it's been the habit and ingrained in me before, I know that I can choose differently every single day. But if you don't have that awareness that it's like, that's how we're raised, it's just what you know, right? Like you don't know what you don't know. So it's understanding that like, just because it's how it was yesterday doesn't mean it's how it has to be tomorrow, and knowing the origins of where that came from. So that's the negativity part of it. The next one is neglecting ourselves. I mean, how freaking easy is it for us to just throw out the things that are good for us because we feel like we are there to take care of everybody else? I mean, that's the patriarchy in and of itself. As women, it's so easy for us to just throw everything out because we don't want to be perceived as selfish. We don't want to be perceived as unhelpful. We don't want to be perceived as difficult or like all the things, selfish, like all the things. So yes, that one's so easy for us to just let go of. But my thing with that mentality is that just like when you're on an airplane and they're doing the safety video, they say if you're traveling with someone that needs you, you have to put your own mask on first before you can be of service to anyone else. I mean, how helpful am I if I'm so depleted and so angry and so frustrated and so resentful towards everyone else because I'm not taking care of myself? In order for me to show up as my best, I have to take care of myself. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever that looks like for me, we have to, in order to be our best, which I chose and want to be every day as best as I can, I have to look after myself.
So interesting with that one too, because yeah, we put ourselves on the back burner, but we would never want our daughters or our partners be like, oh yeah, you go do your thing. Like, I'm going to go over here and like deteriorate in the corner, but like, you're good. Like, I want you to thrive. Like, it's so interesting that in our heads, that's where that goes. Like, we neglect ourselves so that others can thrive. But if we were to just take care of ourselves too, like we could all thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting.
And the last one is never like not letting go. Again, one of those lessons that I'm doing in my class, in my schooling, and all these education things that I'm doing is that our brain hates being wrong. It hates not having questions answered. And so we often hang on to things to either prove that we're right about something or because we've filled in the story and we don't have any proof yet whether or not that's right. And so it's just one of those things that we have to learn how to be aware of those systems that happen in our brain. It's not that we're necessarily going to change it or eradicate it. It's just being aware of it. I mean, an example I have about this is like, boyfriend of mine broke up with me and didn't really give me a reason. And I hung on to it for such a long time. And I filled in so many stories as to what I thought the reasoning could be. But at the end of the day, in order for me to truly move on and be okay, and be in a place of like, okay, this is the reality of what's happened. I needed to let go of needing to fill in the gap with the true story. I don't know if that makes sense, but
It totally does.
yeah. So letting go of expectations of ourselves and others, letting go of unanswered questions, letting go of stories, letting go of control and surrendering is one of those journeys too that is a daily process for me. But it's what keeps us bound to circumstances that we're not maybe liking.
Mm-hmm.
The minute we just open ourselves up and let go of all the things, it's just kind of like, let's just see what happens. Let's go from there and not worry so much.
Yeah. For me, it's often that like letting go of making everyone happy. So sometimes you're going to disappoint some people. Sometimes you're going to have to say no. And that one was a big one for me too, because as a recovering people pleaser, I want to make everyone happy, but like we can't. So like letting go of that is a process every day.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is also letting go of feeling like you have to have your poop together all the time.
Oh yeah, getting that poop together.
Poop.
I love how you went there. Oh, that's awesome. What is the best thing that you've learned on this journey of self-discovery?
That there's always a different lesson to learn. And that, it stems from that, and that I'm not a completed story, and that there's always more to learn, and there's always new experiences to have. And I feel like when I grew up, I was like, well, I guess this is how it is. And I was so set free by understanding that like there's so much more to learn, and it's exciting to me, and it's really been something that lights the fire under me every single day.
Yeah, always learning, always growing. We are not complete and never
Not
will
complete.
be complete. I used to get really frustrated at that concept because I'd be like, I just want to be there. Like, I want to check the box. Like, I want to be there. But then I'll be so bored. I know I'll be bored when I'm sitting there and I'm just like, oh, I got like 50 more years of me sitting here already there. So
right.
What a waste, right? So I love that. I really wanted to chat about your podcast too, because I know how scary it could be to put yourself out there, to amplify your voice. And when you said earlier you were like the shy, quiet kid in your family, me too. Like it was me in a coloring book. Like that was my babysitter. And so it took me a long time to get confident to put my voice out there and to do something. Yeah. So let's talk about your podcast. Let's talk about Bliss, Taco About Bliss, which is so exciting. Were you scared to start and to press publish?
Oh, yes.
And like, did you ever have a moment where you're like, I can't do this?
Every week.
Every day. And how did you get over it and like do it anyway?
So for me, my confidence came when I was in my 20s, I guess, when I really was able to like find the energy. I don't even think it's like my voice. I think it's just the energy of just putting it out there and seeing what happens and knowing that like I'm going to be okay no matter what. It's taken, sorry, I have something in my mouth here. The podcast came about because I mean, obviously I've been visible on social media streams with Connecting to Bliss Coaching, which is my coaching business, for a while. And I mean, you're pretty limited with how long you can speak on a topic in those social media platforms. And so many people were like, do you have a podcast? And I was like, no. They're like, you need to have a podcast. I was like, nah. And
I do what I want, thank you.
Right? And at first, I'll tell you, like, the confidence I didn't have in myself was like, can I speak about something for like 20 minutes?
I thought the same thing. Who's going to listen to that?
Like, and I was like, I got 90 seconds. I'm good. Like, I'm good. But I was like, let's just try it. I mean, it's my openness to just like putting it out there. And if people like it, great. And if they don't, I'm getting so much out of it, just myself. And if even just one person listens to it, I'm just like, yeah, this is the best. But yeah, I don't, it wasn't confidence that made me start. It was a curiosity, I think. It was a challenging curiosity. I mean, I've always said that like you don't have the confidence to do something to start it. You gain the confidence after you do it. What gets you to start something is like that curiosity and like, okay, well, I know I'm going to be okay. Let's just see what happens. And so I did. I did.
Are you grateful that you did it?
Oh my God, yes. It's so fun. It's so fun because it's super light. I mean, it's called Let's Taco About Bliss. It's not a heavy thing at all. I sometimes talk about heavy topics, but that's life. Sometimes it is heavy, but I try and bring some lightness to it and some humor to it. I mean, I love to laugh, so I try and laugh at myself as often as possible. So yeah.
I love it so much.
But I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
What?
I love it. I love it so much. And even too, like when I saw the name, like Let's Taco About Bliss, it brought me back because my first business, I told you this, I think when I saw you at Shift, was like my first business was called Balance to Bliss. And I've always been very connected with that concept of bliss and the beauty of life and the things that come to it. And I felt a deep connection to you when I saw that too, because not everybody talks about that. And not everybody kind of puts that focus on happiness and bliss. And it's so cool to see you in that realm, because I look at you and I see bliss. Like you're just this beautiful angel that walks the earth. And it's just so cool. I know you're like, okay, shut the fuck up, Jess. But like, seriously though, like Heather, like you just have this magic around you and it's really beautiful to see. And so I'm so grateful that you put yourself out there and that you started a podcast and that you're doing something that the world needs to hear a little bit more about.
I really appreciate it. And that bliss is one of those things for me that what I found in having my business include that word is that a lot of people are either scared of the word or have no idea what it truly means. And so that's why I created this podcast, to create some realness around how we can actually attain bliss. Bliss isn't just sitting in becoming a monk in a monastery in India, like meditating for all day. Like bliss is really, it's something that is attainable to everyone with conscious effort and small things that they can do on a day-to-day basis. And it's more lasting than happiness. Happiness is fleeting. It's going to come up and down. That's not life. We're not put on this earth to be happy. We're put on this earth to learn. And what learning will do is allow us to gain the confidence and strength in knowing who we are. And that's what bliss is, I think.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. I remember you sent me a message one day and you're like, what do you think about the word bliss? And I was like, I love it. Like, that's so good. And you're like, not everybody loves it. And I was so surprised to hear that.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I've had so many people like, why on earth would you include bliss in your business name? Why would you even talk about that? That is not something that I'm striving for in my life at all. I want happiness. And I'm just like, okay, that's fair. Like, I get it. I understand, because that's like what we're told we're supposed to strive for. But I'm here to change the script on it. I'm here to help people understand that like happiness is great and it's lovely, but it's not going to last. And what you need to believe in yourself is that you're going to be okay, and you have the tools to be okay no matter what is happening. And that's where bliss lies.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much, Heather. Can you tell, like, I'm just like, yeah.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, so good. Can you tell us where our listeners can connect with you? Where can they find you? And what can they expect from your podcast?
Well, I live in Newfoundland, so they can find me here.
Heather had a dream last night that I came to her house, so so we can all go to Heather's house.
Show up in my house with some lobsters. Oh, so strange.
So good.
Yeah. So I am very visible on Instagram. My handle is Heather the Coach. I show up almost every day on there, so please come and follow me there. I also my podcast is called Let's Taco About Bliss. I post every Tuesday because tacos are my favorite food, and I have tacos every week. Yes.
So that's when we're going to Heather's house on Tuesday. We can listen to the podcast together and eat some tacos. It'll be great.
I have to say though, like the tacos I have, my sister-in-law calls them prison tacos, but like they're the old El Paso box of
That's
like
good.
seasoning with.
That's good.
Oh, they're the best. Like I never get sick of them.
Never. You can't get sick of them.
No, it's impossible.
So
like I have eaten tacos every day, every day, every Tuesday since I was mid-20s, and I'm 40. I'll be 45 in September or in August. So yeah.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
You go, girl.
Every Tuesday. Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. Check out my podcast, Let's Taco About Bliss. If you are in the St. John's area, I'm starting to host local events here. So check them out. I've got one coming up next week. I'm not sure when the podcast will come out, but I'm going to be hosting another one in September. And before we sign off, I just wanted to tell you, Jess, that you are an incredible human being. And I am so grateful and happy to be here, but also just wanted to thank you for being the light and being such a shining human. And I told you this morning, I was like binge listening to your podcast, and like just that alone, I was just like, my heart was bursting because I'm so glad that the world has someone like you.
Oh, I'm going to cry over here. Thank you,
Don't
Heather.
cry. No
Thank
problem.
you.
It's
I
true,
really do
though.
appreciate that so much. As you know, it takes a lot to build something like this. So thank you. That's really kind.
Yeah,
but
I'm
we're
very
not
grateful.
signing off yet because I got questions that I ask every guest that comes on, and they're going to be really disappointed if you don't answer these. So you're going to stick around for a little longer. You ready?
Okay, that's cool.
Okay. What's your favorite compliment to receive?
You're so kind.
You are so kind. Didn't I just say that right before you said that?
Or I'm funny. I like those two. Those are my two, those are my strengths. And that when someone recognizes my strengths, I really like that. So I am either really funny and I make you laugh, or I'm kind, one of the two.
Oh, I love that. Yes, those are really good ones. What is your favorite thing to do to boost your mood when you're feeling grumpy?
Getting outside.
Yeah.
Go for walks. I love being outside. No matter what, actually.
Even when the weather is crap. So
even when it's freezing out. Yeah. I actually prefer cooler weather. Within reason. I'm kind of over it now, but I prefer cooler weather.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Do you have a song or quote that boosts your confidence?
Oh, I prepared something for this.
Are you going to sing for us?
No, God, no. I'm going to put you through that.
That'd be so good.
So, I mean, songs, yes, of course. But what I have is, I did an NLP therapy, and a pretty intense NLP therapy a few years ago.
Can you tell us what NLP stands for?
Yeah, neuro-linguistic programming. So it basically is making your thoughts bendy. We get very rigid with our thinking and our beliefs about ourselves. And so if we have beliefs about ourselves that are very rigid, NLP is a way of loosening it up a little so you can fit in something else.
So cool.
So that's a modality that I am actually a practitioner for now. I'm becoming a master practitioner. But one of the things that I found when I was in my own NLP therapy is that what gave me confidence is, and it goes back to that, what I was saying before about I'm not a finished book. There's always ability for growth. And so there's 10 prerequisites to success that always give me confidence. So I just wanted to briefly read those, if that's okay.
Please do.
Okay. I should have these memorized because I wrote them out every day for a year, but I don't.
That's okay.
Okay. So everyone has their own map of the world, which I love because it just allows you to remember that everyone has their own perspective on things. And our only job is to try and understand their perspective before we judge. Everyone is doing the best with the resources that they have. That I am in charge of my mind. Nobody else is in charge of it. No old beliefs, no old expectations, nothing. I am in charge of it. To find people to model their behavior, people that you aspire to be like, model their behavior, don't repeat their behaviors. Never judge a person by their behaviors. There's no such thing as failing. You are 100% responsible for your communication. The law of requisite flexibility, which just says be bendy, be able to compromise, just be open to allowing things to happen the way they may. All behavior is, the purpose of all behavior is to either avoid pain or seek pleasure. So this is always really important for me when I'm dealing with my daughter, is that when she has a behavior that I'm like, what the hell? I'm always like, okay, is she avoiding pain or is she seeking pleasure right now? Okay. And it just allows me to check myself. When you know better, you do better, and no one requires fixing. So that I'm always like, I go back to in those moments of low confidence, and knowing that like, I'm not a closed book. I'm not here to judge anyone. Everyone's just doing their best. Nobody requires fixing. They just may not have my ideas in that moment, and that's okay. It's not for me to say that they're right or wrong.
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love the idea of my mind being bendy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. It is like you can get really stuck in the thoughts, right? And if we were to get stuck in those thoughts of doubt before hitting publish on a podcast or anything like that, like imagine where we would be now, not sitting here, that's for sure. So
Exactly.
yeah, I challenge people listening to this to get a little bendy with their thoughts and reach out to Heather and connect with her, because she's going to help you get flexible in your brain.
Yeah, if you need NLP, I mean, it's one of those beautiful, it's completely changed how I coach. It's completely changed how I speak to people. It's completely changed how I interact with the world, because it just allows me to really understand that like my way isn't always the best way, and what I've been told maybe isn't always the best way. And it just allowed me to like figuring out in the moment what's the best way.
I love that. Thank you so much, Heather, for being here and for being vulnerable with us and sharing your truth. I really, really appreciate you sharing your story with us today.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me here.
What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.